The passenger ship floated through the endless silence of space, its silver body glowing under the distant starlight. Inside, hundreds of travelers moved around, speaking in low voices, trading stories, and waiting for the long journey to end. The air was filled with the usual noise of footsteps, quiet laughter, and the hum of machines keeping everyone alive. But in the corner of the wide passenger hall sat a small figure. She was an alien girl, no more than 12 or 13 years old by human standards. Her skin had a pale glow, almost like moonlight. Her hair was thin, soft, and silver, falling over her face as she sat very still. Her eyes were different, cloudy, and unfocused. She could not see. She whispered in a broken voice, "I can't find my mother." No one answered. A few passengers nearby looked at her but quickly turned away. Some shook their heads, some whispered to one another, but no one moved to help. It was as if they were afraid to even come close. The girl's small hands trembled as she held the edge of her seat tightly, her voice repeating softer this time. "I can't find my mother." Among the crowd, a human man sat quietly, watching. He had noticed her earlier, sitting alone, eyes searching for something she could not see. At first he thought maybe someone would come for her, maybe her family had only stepped away, but as the hours passed, he saw the truth. She was completely alone. Something about the way she spoke broke through the noise of the ship. It was not just fear in her voice, it was something deeper. It was the sound of someone forgotten, someone invisible to everyone around her. The human felt a weight in his chest, a pull he could not ignore. He watched the other aliens carefully. Their behavior was strange. Instead of showing concern, they acted as if she was dangerous. Some moved their seats further away. Others whispered words like cursed and trouble. Their eyes were full of fear, not pity. The girl lowered her head. Her cloudy eyes were fixed on nothing, but her lips trembled as she whispered again. Each word carried the same pain. Each word sounded like a cry no one wanted to hear. The human felt his hands tighten. He could not understand why no one helped her. She was only a child, blind, frightened, and lost in the middle of space. It felt wrong, deeply wrong, that so many around her chose silence. The stars outside the windows burned brightly, but inside, the air felt colder, heavier. The human knew he had a choice: stay silent like the others, or step forward into the unknown. He remembered something, words his own mother once told him long ago. The strength of a person is not shown in power, but in the way they protect someone weaker. The girl's small voice broke the silence once more, this time sharper, desperate. "Please, I can't find my mother." The human stood slowly. His steps echoed softly across the hall as he moved toward her. Each step felt heavier, because he could sense the tension of the crowd. Every alien nearby turned to look. Some shook their heads. Some even muttered warnings. "Don't. She is dangerous. Don't touch her." But he did not stop. He reached the girl, bending down so his voice would be close to her. Gently he spoke. "You are not alone anymore." The girl froze, her blind eyes turning toward the sound of his voice. For a moment she said nothing. Her small hands trembled harder, but then very slowly she whispered back, You hear me?" Her words were filled with disbelief, as if no one had ever truly answered her before. "Yes," the human said softly, his voice steady. "I hear you." Her cloudy eyes widened slightly. For the first time her lips curved into something like hope. It was faint, fragile, but it was there. The hall had gone silent. All the passengers watched, waiting, holding their breath. No one moved. No one spoke. The human extended his hand carefully. "Tell me what happened. Tell me about your mother. I will help you." The girl reached forward, her small fingers brushing against his hand. For the first time she felt warmth instead of fear. She felt a presence that did not push her away. And in that moment something changed. The silence of the hall grew heavier, not because of the girl's voice, but because of the human's choice. He had done what no one else dared. He had listened. But deep inside, the human knew this was only the beginning. Something about the girl was not simple. Something about the fear of the others was not without reason. Yet he also knew one truth. One unshakable truth, no matter what came next. He would not let her face it alone. The girl whispered again, this time with a trembling smile, "Thank you." And the ship continued its long journey through the stars, carrying a secret no one yet understood, except for a human who refused to walk away. The girl sat very still beside the human, her thin hands gripping his sleeve as if it was the only anchor she had in the vast ocean of darkness. Around them, the other passengers watched quietly. Their eyes were not filled with kindness but with unease. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others whispered in voices too low to hear clearly, but the human caught fragments. Danger. Unlucky. Keep away. The human frowned. He could not understand it. She was blind, young, and alone. Why would anyone fear her? The girl turned her head slightly, her pale eyes blinking slowly. Though she could not see, she could sense the whispers. Her voice was soft, almost a secret. They don't want me here. The human lowered his voice so only she could hear. Why? For a moment she was silent. Her lips pressed together, her fingers twisting nervously. Finally she whispered, because they think I am cursed. The human felt a chill crawl down his spine. He glanced at the others. The way they avoided her, the way they shifted further away, it was more than simple fear. It was rejection. Deep, cultural, and heavy with superstition. One of the passengers, a tall alien with sharp features, stood up and hissed, "Leave her. Don't touch her. You don't know what she carries." His voice was harsh, like steel against stone. The human stood calmly, his body shielding the girl. "She is just a child," he said firmly, but the alien shook his head. "Not a child, a mark, a danger." And with that, he walked away quickly, as if staying near her too long might poison him. The girl's small hands tightened around the human's arm. "See?" she whispered. "They don't want me." Her words carried no anger, only sadness. A sadness so deep it felt older than her years. The human knelt beside her so she could hear the sincerity in his voice. "I don't believe that," he said gently. "You are not a curse. You are alive. You need help. That's all." For the first time, her cloudy eyes lifted toward him. Though she could not see his face, she could feel the warmth in his tone. Her lips trembled, and then she whispered, "You sound different." "Not like them." The human gave a small smile. "Maybe because I'm not like them." The hum of the ship continued in the background, but the tension in the hall grew thicker. Every step of the crew, every beep of the machines seemed sharper, heavier. The passengers pretended to look away, but their eyes never fully left the girl and the human who dared to sit beside her. The human leaned closer and asked softly, "Tell me the truth. Why do they call you cursed?" The girl's shoulders shook as if she wanted to hide from the question. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Because I hear things no one else can, and sometimes I say things. Before they happen." The human's eyes widened slightly. He did not move, did not speak, but inside his mind began to race. The girl lowered her head, ashamed of her own words. "I don't want it. I don't want to see the things I cannot see. My mother told me to stay quiet, to never speak of it. But now she is gone, and they all know." The hall grew colder in that moment. The human realized this was not only about blindness. This was about fear of something larger, something unseen. The girl held onto him tightly and whispered again, almost pleading, "Don't leave me." The human looked at her trembling form, then at the crowd staring with suspicion, and he made a silent promise in his heart. He would not leave. He leaned down and whispered back, "I will not. No matter what they say." The girl exhaled shakily, as if those words gave her more strength than she had felt in years. Yet, as the human sat beside her, he could not escape the heavy truth forming in his mind. If what she said was true, if she could sense things before they happened, then her fear, her loneliness, and the whispers around her might all be part of a far deeper mystery. And in the silence of that crowded hall, the human began to realize, helping this blind alien girl might change more than just her life. It might change his. The human sat quietly for a moment, the girl's fragile hand still clutching his sleeve. Around them, the other passengers kept their distance, eyes filled with quiet judgment. Some pretended not to notice, but their whispers cut through the air like sharp blades. "Stay away from her. She will bring trouble. She is not safe." The human ignored them. He looked at the girl, her cloudy eyes blinking in confusion, her lips trembling as if she expected him to walk away like all the others. But he didn't. Gently, he said, "Stand with me. I'll help you find your mother." The girl hesitated. Her thin fingers shook as they tightened around his arm. "No, they will be angry. They will not let me search. The human leaned closer, his voice firm but soft. I don't care what they say. You should not sit here alone. Come with me. Slowly, carefully, she rose from her seat. She swayed slightly, unsteady in the movement, and the human reached out, guiding her by the hand. Her skin felt cold, fragile, but she held on to him as if his touch was the only light in her darkness. The other passengers drew back as they walked past. Some muttered curses. Others made symbols with their hands as if to shield themselves from evil. The human kept his eyes forward, ignoring the weight of their stares. As they moved down the corridor of the ship, the girl whispered, "Why are you not afraid of me?" The human looked down at her. "Because I don't believe you are dangerous. I believe you are lost, and lost children deserve to be found." For the first time, her lips curved into the faintest of smiles. It was small, fragile, but real. They turned a corner, passing long windows where the endless stars shone like cold fire. The hum of the engines echoed beneath their feet. Then suddenly the girl stopped. Her hand pulled at his sleeve, her body stiff as if frozen in place. "What is it?" the human asked gently. Her pale eyes turned toward the glass, though she could not see the stars. Her voice was quiet, almost shaking. "Something is wrong." Outside, the human frowned and glanced out. To his eyes, the stars looked normal. Just endless space. "What do you mean?" Her fingers dug into his hand. "I hear it. I hear the silence changing." The human felt a shiver crawl down his neck. He turned his gaze back to her. Blind though she was, her expression was sharp, as if she could sense something beyond his understanding. Then she whispered words that chilled him. "They are coming." The human's breath caught. "Who?" The girl's lips trembled. She lowered her head. "I don't know, but they are near." The corridor seemed to grow colder, the hum of the ship suddenly heavier. The human looked around, but no alarm sounded, no crew shouted. Only the blind girl's trembling voice warned him of a danger no one else could feel. He tightened his grip on her hand. "Stay with me," he said firmly. "If something comes, I'll protect you." She turned her pale eyes toward him again, and for the first time there was no fear in them, only trust. "Then I am not afraid," she whispered. The human felt the weight of her words settle deep inside his chest. He had taken the first step. He had chosen to help her, even when the entire ship turned away. But as her warning echoed in his mind, he knew this was only the beginning. Something unseen waited in the dark. And somehow, this blind alien child had sensed it before anyone else. The human led the blind girl carefully through the narrow corridor, his hand steady on hers. Every step they took felt heavier, as if the shadows of the ship pressed closer around them. The other passengers kept their distance, their whispers now growing louder, more accusing. "She should not be here. She was marked. She carries danger with her." The girl lowered her head, her pale eyes closing as if she wanted to block out their voices. Her thin shoulders shook and the human felt her hand tremble against his. Finally, he stopped and knelt in front of her. His voice was calm but firm. "You don't have to listen to them. Tell me the truth. Why are they so afraid of you?" The girl hesitated, her lips pressed tightly together. For a long moment she said nothing. Then in a broken whisper she spoke, "Because they punished me." The human frowned. "Punished you? For what?" Her cloudy eyes lifted toward him, searching though they could not see. "I was born with sight, like all children. But when I was small I saw something I should not have seen, something the elders said was forbidden. They said a child should not know such things." Her voice cracked, trembling with the memory. "They blinded me so I would never see again." The human's breath caught. His heart burned with anger at the cruelty hidden in her words. He shook his head slowly, hardly able to believe it. "They did this to you? Your own people?" The girl nodded weakly. Tears formed in her pale eyes, though she could not see them fall. "They said it was the only way to protect the others. They said I carried visions that did not belong to us." The human's mind raced. Visions. He remembered her strange warning in the corridor, that something was coming, something no one else could sense. Could it be true? Could she really see things no one else could even after her eyes were taken? He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. "What did you see back then? What was so forbidden?" The girl's lips trembled as she spoke, each word heavy with fear. "I saw the humans." The human blinked, stunned. "Humans? You saw us?" She nodded. "Long before I met you, before I even knew what you looked like, I saw humans standing in fire and light. I saw them saving worlds, fighting darkness, protecting even those who were not their own. Her voice grew softer, almost like a confession. The elders told me it was a lie. They said humans were weak, selfish, dangerous. But I had seen the truth. I had seen your people as saviors. The human felt his chest tighten. To hear such words from a child abandoned and broken by her own kind, it was almost too much. But it also explained the fear in the eyes of the other passengers. They did not see her as a child. They saw her as a threat to the lies they had been taught. The girl lowered her head again. My mother tried to protect me. She told me never to speak of the visions. She said the elders would take me away if I did. But I was too young. I spoke once, only once, and then they blinded me. Her small hands clutched his tightly. She stayed with me even after that. She was the only one who cared. But on this ship, she disappeared. They took her from me. I know it, the human's jaw tightened. The pieces were coming together. Her punishment, her visions of humanity, her mother's sudden disappearance. None of it was coincidence. He squeezed her hand gently, his voice steady with determination. Listen to me. They tried to silence you because of what you know. They wanted to make you weak. But you are not weak. And your mother. If she is alive, we will find her. The girl's pale eyes turned toward him, her lips trembling as a single word escaped. Promise? The human nodded firmly. I promise. For the first time, she allowed herself to lean fully into his side, her small body trembling with both fear and relief. But deep inside, the human knew this promise would not be simple. He had stepped into something larger than himself, a secret buried in shadows, a truth her people feared so much they destroyed a child to keep it hidden. And now that truth was walking beside him. The blind alien girl sat close to the human now, her small hands clutching his sleeve like it was her last hope. Around them, the ship's corridor buzzed faintly with the hum of engines, but the air was heavy with tension. Passengers still kept their distance, whispering in low, sharp voices as if the very presence of the girl was poison. She is dangerous. She carries forbidden sight. She will bring death. The human ignored them. He looked only at the trembling child beside him. Her pale eyes, clouded and broken, were turned toward the ground, but her face revealed the weight she carried, fear, loss, and loneliness far too heavy for someone so young. He knelt before her, his voice steady and strong. Look at me. Slowly her head lifted. She could not see him, but she could feel the warmth of his presence. I know they call you cursed. I know they fear you. But to me, you are only a child who needs help. And I will not leave you. Not now, not ever. The girl's lips parted in surprise. No one had spoken to her like this before. Not since her mother disappeared. Her voice shook as she whispered, You mean it? Even if they come for me. Even if it puts you in danger? The human's eyes hardened with resolve, especially then. Because that is when someone must stand with you. Her hands trembled, then slowly reached up. With unsure fingers, she touched his face, feeling the lines of his jaw, the shape of his nose, the warmth of his skin. Her cloudy eyes filled with tears, and she whispered, I can't see you, but I feel you. And you are not like the others. You feel safe. The human placed his hand gently over hers. Then trust me. No matter what happens, I will be your eyes until we find your mother. The words sank deep into her heart. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope again. A soft smile touched her lips, fragile but real. Then I am not alone. The moment was tender, but it did not go unnoticed. The passengers watching from a distance muttered louder now, their voices sharp and accusing. Foolish human. He does not know what she is. She will bring him to ruin. One of the braver aliens stepped forward, his voice filled with anger. You cannot protect her. She is marked. If you carry her curse. When death comes, it will come for you too. The human stood slowly, his body shielding the girl. His voice was firm, cutting through the hall like steel. Then let it come for me. I would rather carry her burden than abandon her. The alien's face twisted in shock, but he did not argue further. He stepped back, muttering under his breath, and soon melted into the crowd of fearful eyes. The girl clung tighter to the human's side, whispering so softly only he could hear. They will hate you for this. They may even try to stop you. The human bent slightly, his voice calm. I don't care about their hate. I care about keeping you safe. Her cloudy eyes lifted toward him, her small voice trembling with both fear and gratitude. Then, You are my protector." The human froze at the word. Protector. It was not just a child's word. It was a title, a bond. And as she spoke it, the hall fell into a strange silence, as if her words carried weight far beyond her small frame. The passengers looked uneasy. Some shifted nervously. Others lowered their eyes. It was as if the word itself held a truth they did not want to face. The girl leaned into the human's side, whispering again, "Thank you." He rested a steady hand on her shoulder. "Stay close. Whatever happens next, we face it together." Deep inside, the human felt the gravity of his promise. It was no longer just about helping a lost child. It was about defying the fear of an entire people. It was about protecting a truth buried in shadows. And in that quiet moment, one human's promise became something greater, an unbreakable bond that even the darkness of space could not silence. The ship's corridors grew quieter as the human guided the blind girl further away from the crowded hall. The whispers faded behind them, but their echo lingered in the air, heavy and cold. The girl's small hand clung to his as if it were her only lifeline. They stopped near a dim corner of the ship, where the humming of engines masked their voices. The girl tilted her head, her pale eyes unseeing, yet she seemed to sense the stillness around them. The human knelt slightly, his voice low. "You told me your mother was taken. Tell me how. Tell me everything you remember." The girl's lips trembled. For a long moment she stayed silent, as if speaking the truth might awaken something she feared. Finally her voice broke through the quiet. "She tried to hide me. She said the elders would never stop searching. She knew they wanted me gone. But she stayed. She always stayed." Her cloudy eyes filled with tears. "Then on this ship I felt it. I woke and she was gone. But I know she didn't leave me. They came for her. They took her." The human's chest tightened. "Who?" The girl shook her head weakly. "I don't know. But I felt them. I felt their shadows, cold, heavy, like chains around her soul." The human stared at her, unease growing in his gut. She spoke not as a frightened child, but as someone who sensed more than anyone should. He pressed gently, "Why are they so afraid of you? Why would they take your mother?" Her small hands curled into fists. "Because of what I carry inside me. Because of the visions." Her voice dropped to a whisper that trembled with fear and truth. "I see things no one else can. Not just what is happening, but what is coming." The human's breath caught. His mind replayed her earlier words. "They are coming." She continued, her voice breaking. "I saw the stars burn. I saw ships falling into fire. And I saw humans standing in the middle of it, not running, not afraid, protecting, fighting, saving even those who hated them. I saw what they call impossible." She pressed a trembling hand against her chest. "The elders feared it. They said my visions were poison. They said if people believed me, they would follow humans instead of them. That is why they blinded me. That is why they call me cursed. Because I remember humans as saviors, not as monsters." The human felt his blood run cold. It wasn't just superstition. It was control. They had silenced her because she carried the memory of something they wanted buried. He clenched his jaw, anger rising. "So they punished a child to keep their lie alive." The girl nodded weakly. "My mother knew. She told me to stay silent. She told me the truth was too dangerous. But she never stopped believing me. That's why they took her. Because she protected me." The human's hand tightened gently on hers. He could feel the trembling of her small frame, the weight of secrets no child should bear. He whispered firmly, "Then we will find her, and we will bring the truth back into the light." The girl's pale eyes lifted slightly toward him, her lips trembling. "You don't understand. If I speak, if they know what I carry, they will come for you too." The human's gaze did not waver. "Let them. I'd rather face their darkness than leave you in it." For the first time, she leaned fully into him, resting her head against his chest. The steady beat of his heart was stronger than the fear that haunted her, but as she closed her eyes, a sudden shiver ran through her body. Her voice dropped to a whisper, urgent and shaking. "They are close. The shadows I felt before. They are moving through the ship. They are looking for me." The human stiffened. His eyes swept the corridor, but he saw nothing. Yet the way her voice cracked, the way her hands clutched at him, told him the truth. Danger was coming, unseen but real, and in that moment he understood. This was no simple rescue. This was a war of truth and fear, and it had already begun. The ship's silence broke with heavy footsteps. From the far corridor, figures appeared. Guards in dark uniforms, their faces hidden under cold helmets. Their movements were slow but sharp, like hunters closing in on prey. The passengers shrank back, pressing themselves against the walls, eager to stay unseen. One of the guards raised his voice, cold and mechanical. "Step away from the child. She is marked for removal." The human shifted, standing tall in front of the blind girl. His body formed a shield, his voice strong and unshaken. "She is a child. You will not take her." The guard's reply was like steel. "She is dangerous. She carries forbidden visions. She cannot remain among us." The girl clung to the human's arm, trembling. "They took my mother the same way," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't let them take me too." The human's jaw tightened. He looked at the guards, then at the fearful crowd. He saw the truth in their eyes. None of them would help. They had already chosen silence, but he would not. He stepped forward, his voice carrying across the hall. "You call her cursed. You call her dangerous, but she is not. She is only a child, abandoned by her own people, punished for seeing the truth." The guards raised their weapons. The passengers gasped, pulling further back. The human spread his arms wide, his voice fierce. "If you take her, you must go through me, and I am human. We do not run from fear. We do not abandon those who cannot fight for themselves." The girl's pale eyes lifted, wide with shock. Her lips trembled as a single word escaped. "Protector." The hall froze. The word echoed, not just as a child's cry, but as something greater. Passengers looked at one another nervously. Even the guards hesitated for a brief moment. The word carried weight. It was not just a name, it was a truth spoken aloud. The girl stepped forward now, her hand still holding the human's tightly. Her voice, though soft, was steady. "He is not cursed. He is not weak. He is what you fear, because he is what I saw. A human who protects." The guards stiffened, their grip on their weapons tightening. But something shifted in the air. The passengers, once silent, now stared at the human differently. Some of the fear in their eyes began to fade. Whispers spread, not of curses, but of questions, doubt. The human glanced at the girl, then back at the guards. His voice cut through the tension. "You can try to silence her. You can try to bury the truth. But it will not die, because she is not alone anymore. She has me, and I will never let her go." The lead guard lowered his weapon slightly, his visor turning toward the crowd. He saw it too, the shift, the hesitation, the spark of belief that had begun to spread. The silence grew heavy. For a moment no one moved. The ship itself seemed to hold its breath. Finally, the guards turned away. Without another word, they marched back down the corridor, their shadows fading into the distance. The passengers stared in stunned silence. Some still held fear, but others looked at the girl with something new, something closer to respect. The blind alien girl leaned against the human, tears running down her pale cheeks. "You kept your promise," she whispered. The human placed a steady hand on her shoulder, his voice calm but certain. "I told you, you are not alone." In that moment, something greater than survival had been born. A truth stronger than fear, carried not by armies or weapons, but by the bond between a blind child and a human who chose compassion over silence. And as the ship continued through the endless stars, one thing became clear. This was not just her story anymore. It was their story, a story that would not be forgotten,